All right, let's just jump right into it. Welcome back, everyone, to another explainer. Today, we're looking at something I know a lot of you have been waiting for. We are breaking down the manifesto and curriculum of the Research Academy. Basically, this is your ultimate framework for actually mastering the scientific research process and driving real, tangible innovation. I mean, if you've ever just sat there staring at a completely blank screen, thinking, how on earth do I turn this vague idea into an actual published paper? Well, you're in the right place. We're going to unpack this entire blueprint today, step by step. So here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 5 key areas. First, research challenges. Second, your scientific guide. Third, the journey from idea to publication. Fourth, digital tools and cases. And finally, wrapping up with a collaborative community. Okay, moving right into part 1, research challenges. Honestly, this right here is what keeps young researchers tossing and turning at night. You know, you might have a dozen different interests, but how do you actually choose a good topic? And once you finally nail that down, how do you build a methodology that's actually solid? Think of methodology kind of like the foundation of a house. If you get it wrong in those early stages, the whole structure is just going to collapse the second it hits peer review. And that costs you months, maybe even years of wasted effort. And then, of course, you've got all the modern anxieties of publishing. You finish the research and boom, you face the dreaded peer reviewers. Yes, we're talking about the infamous reviewer number 2. How do you respond to them without completely losing your mind? Plus, we're in a totally new era now. How are you supposed to use all these incredible new AI tools to help your workflow while still making sure your scientific contribution stays rigorously original and, ethical? These are huge, complex questions for scientists today. Which brings us to Section 2, your scientific guide. Let's meet the person who can help. To navigate all those crazy challenges we just talked about, you really need a guide. Enter Dr. Mohammed El-Gadawi. He's a teacher, researcher, trainer, and consultant, bringing over 26 years of hardcore experience to the table. And look, this isn't just abstract theory. This is a guy whose entire career is built on supporting complex, real-world technical and scientific projects for literally decades. Right off the bat, that establishes some serious trust. His technical background is incredibly deep. We're talking mechanical engineering, plastics, metallurgy, industrial process optimization, all the way up to cutting-edge AI applications. But actually, scratch that, the most important detail here, he's an international journal peer reviewer. That means he's been on the other side of the desk. He has the ultimate insider knowledge because he knows exactly what gets a paper accepted, and more importantly, he knows the exact red flags that get a paper instantly rejected. His core philosophy here is absolutely crucial. He says it is not enough to have an interesting topic. You must know how to identify a scientific gap. This right here is where so many incredibly smart students just hit a wall. Having a brilliant idea is great, but you aren't trying to just redraw the whole puzzle. You're looking for that one exact missing piece, the scientific gap. You have to clearly formulate a problem, pick the right methods, and present a crystal clear contribution if you want any chance of surviving peer review. So who is this methodology actually for? Well, it's built for a pretty wide range of folks. If you're a PhD candidate or a young researcher, your main goal is wrangling your massive workload to actually finish your theses and get those crucial first publications. For master students, it's all about prepping that initial thesis and figuring out if a doctorate is even on the cards. But experienced researchers can use this too, mostly to collaborate and parse through high-level feedback. And for engineers and industry professionals, it's perfect for applied research and solving real, on-the-ground industrial problems. So yeah, no matter where you're at on your journey, there's major value to extract here. All right, let's shift to Section 3, from idea to publication. This is the core curriculum. This is basically your map out of the academic wilderness, laid out chronologically. Step 1 is locking in a relevant topic and defining your core problem. Step 2, the deep dive into the literature review. You're analyzing articles, finding the limits of existing work, and mapping out literally everything everyone else has discovered before you even start. Step 3 is building the methodology itself. And then Step 4 is the final boss, the actual writing and submission. It's a complete pipeline from a totally blank page to a published piece of literature. Let's zoom in on that third step for a second, methodology, because this is where the real heavy lifting happens. Mastering methodology means getting a grip on experimental design, super rigorous data collection, precise statistical analysis, and model validation. You really have to know how to interpret your results accurately. These are the hard, undeniable technical skills that guarantee your data is legit and your models hold up mathematically. Without these, your research is just going to fall apart under scrutiny. And here's the kicker. Even if your science is flawless, you still have to master the editorial process. You need those practical survival skills for the publication phase. You have to know how to pick the right journal, write a killer submission letter, and most importantly, how to respond point by point to reviewers without getting defensive. Understanding the hidden reasons why reviewers demand major revisions or just reject papers outright is literally what separates successful academics from the ones who are just perpetually frustrated. Moving right along to Section 4, Digital Tools and Practical Cases. Look, the days of doing research with just pen, paper, and a dusty library card are long gone. To do this efficiently today, you need a modern digital arsenal. We're talking about mastering complex documentary research platforms, using heavy-duty data analysis tools, integrating AI solutions intelligently, and, for the love of everything, using reference management software. Trust me, that last one alone will save you from crying over citation formatting at 2 in the morning. Getting comfortable with these tools is no longer just optional, it's absolutely non-negotiable. Now, what really elevates this whole framework is how it bridges this massive chasm between abstract, high-level academic theory and practical, applied industrial cases. By looking at real-world applications, stuff like mechanical engineering, plastics, industrial AI, this methodology really proves its worth. It shows you the tangible impact of applied research. It makes sure that what you're learning isn't just stuck in some theoretical textbook, but is actually being used to solve real industry problems. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, a collaborative community. The truth is, scientific advancement isn't a one-way street. It requires a dynamic, living community. Research shouldn't be a solitary journey where you just suffer in silence at your desk. This platform invites you to actively jump into the ecosystem. Ask your questions, be completely honest about the difficulties you're facing in the lab, suggest new topics, present your projects, and build real collaborations. Because honestly, the shared knowledge network, that's where the actual breakthroughs happen. And that brings us to our final thought. The Academy's motto perfectly sums it up. Together, let's learn to better understand research, publish with rigor, and innovate with impact. That's the ultimate takeaway for this explainer. Research is tough, for sure, but with the right guide, a rock-solid methodology, and a community behind you, you can absolutely master it. So I want to leave you with this. What is the single biggest roadblock you are facing in your research right now? Pinpoint it and start applying this roadmap to smash through it today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and keep innovating.